We are live. You already know who it is. My name is Mike Kyle, aka the Fantasy Vulture. I have over a decade worth of fantasy football experience and have continuously competed for fantasy championships over the course of the past 6 seasons. Let's make it 7 in 2020. But enough of me. I'm here for you. On today's episode of the FB Show, we are going to go right into our Week 12 game recaps, breaking down every single Week 12 matchup, all through the lens of fantasy football. So if you're excited for this video, be sure to hit that like button down below like an open receiver downfield. Also, smash that subscribe button like a power running back up the middle so you never miss a video from me. And last but not least, you can follow me on all social media platforms at FFVulture. The content I am going to be producing on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok over the course of the next 5 weeks is going to be astronomical, and I'm so excited to share what I have in store for all of you guys as we approach the playoffs and, of course, championship season, which I hope as many of you win championships this year as physically possible. But let's dive right into Week 12. The Washington football team crushed Dallas by a final score of 41-16. Washington improves to 4-7 on the year, and the Cowboys fall to 3-8. Alex Smith, 19 of 26, 149 passing yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. But that's not the story here. The story is about Antonio Gibson, who I believe for the second straight week has seen above 50% of the snaps. Yes, indeed. 20 carries, caught 5 of 7 targets for 136 total yards, and 3 touchdowns against Dallas. It was a spectacular performance from the rookie running back out of Memphis. He is the first rookie to have 3 touchdowns on a Thanksgiving game since Randy Moss did it damn near 20 years ago, right? And then, of course, Terry McLaurin is great as well. 9 targets, 7 receptions for 92 yards. But the big story here for Washington, along with Gibson, is that J.D. McKissic only had 2 targets. We're going to spend a bit of time talking about these guys in just a moment. Going over to Dallas, Andy Dalton was 25 of 35 for 215 yards, 1 touchdown, and an interception. Zeke, 10 carries, caught 1 of 3 targets for 39 total yards and a fumble. Maybe the worst game of his career. He's lost 5 fumbles on the year so far, and I believe he has 9 fumbles in total. Amari Cooper continues to impress even without Dak Prescott. 8 targets, 6 receptions, 112 receiving yards, and a touchdown. So I really just wanted, the big thing here is Antonio Gibson. This really is just where we're at now. Over the course of the past 2 games, he's seen over 50% of the snaps. Last week it was 51%, and this week he jumped all the way up to 65%, which is actually 1 percentage point higher than his previous career high. So this does take the cake. And I also just want to highlight that Antonio Gibson just feasts on the Cowboys. If you guys remember earlier on in the year, he also had 20 attempts for 128 yards and a score. So he pretty much had almost identical stat lines in both games. But the difference is obviously the 3 touchdowns compared to the 1 that he scored versus Dallas in Week 7. And the other thing that I really want to note here, again, going back to J.D. McKissic, is McKissic only had 2 targets. And the thing that we've learned from McKissic and Ron Rivera and Scott Turner over the course of the season is that they basically have used McKissic as that third down back. We know that Alex Smith is the check down king, and as a result has targeted J.D. McKissic left, right, and center, right? I mean, we've seen multiple games this season where he's had double-digit targets, right? But Antonio Gibson had 6 targets in the first half. In the first half alone, and then he just went nuclear, and they got out to a lead, so Smith didn't have to check down. But just understanding just how involved Antonio Gibson was so early on in the game, before the game was out of hand, really is the most important takeaway for me. We've been waiting all season long for this coaching staff to make the change to Gibson, even just in the limited snaps he was getting, right? He was basically averaging 43 snaps or 43% of the snaps every single week, and seeing the production that he was putting up was unbelievable, to be honest, right? We've seen running backs in timeshares. We've seen Aaron Jones in a timeshare. We've seen We've seen Devonta Freeman and Tevin Coleman in timeshares. We've seen Raheem Mostert in timeshares, right? We know that running backs in timeshares can produce. But it's very, very unlikely that we see the running back with the less amount of snaps, the lesser amount, the least amount of snaps, produce in such a dominant way that Gibson was, right? Because in those running back by committee splits, right? Devonta Freeman was typically averaging 55% of the snaps. Aaron Jones in Green Bay typically averages 60% of the snaps. Raheem Mostert typically averages 65% of the snaps. And, so we've seen running back by committees work. And we've seen running backs in those committees produce well for fantasy. But it's always the running back who sees the majority of the snaps. And for Antonio Gibson, it was the opposite. And, that's the thing that was so incredible, right? This rookie making this transition from wide receiver to running back. It was so clear that he would be able to do this, right? And the coaching staff repeatedly instilled confidence in saying, hey, we know he can do this too. And it really was just a matter of when, not if. And so to see Gibson get the full workload, pretty much back-to-back games essentially, and just continue to show out, just to read off his game log over the course of the past 5 weeks, 18.8, 10, 20.5, 16.9, and 34.1. Yo, Antonio Gibson is legitimately locked in to be a top 10 back rest of season. The schedule upcoming is a bit tricky with Pittsburgh and then San Fran, but if you can survive that and make it to your championships, you are looking at Seattle, Carolina, and Philly, and holy shit am I excited for those championship games. If you got the running back depth where you don't have to rely on Gibson in those two matchups and you can kind of stash him until the championship, that's going to be your best case scenario and kind of your dream option if you are loaded at running back. Terry McLaurin is great. And then let's just quickly talk about the Dallas Cowboys. Last week, Ceedee Lamb got into the end zone, and that really was the difference between his production in this game and last. And that is going to be it for the rest of the year, honestly. Ceedee Lamb's just at this point where he's currently going to be touchdown dependent. Yes, he's still getting about 6 or 7 targets a game, but it's not enough with it just in terms of sheer yardage to where I think you have any confidence putting him into your fantasy lineup. On the other hand, Amari Cooper is locked in. He's pretty much locked in to be that A.J. Green role that Andy Dalton is used to, so you can continue to start Amari Cooper with confidence. And then lastly, Zeke. I don't know what to make of Zeke at this current moment of time. First off, bust, probably absolutely, just you can stamp that on his forehead. Just his production throughout the course of the year, it was great when Dak was there, and then post-Dak, it's been down the shitter. He's still getting the opportunity. He's still playing about 70% of the snaps. Yes, Tony Pollard has had a bit of an increase in production, but you have to continue to start Zeke just because the talent and the volume is there. The fumbling, major issue. Where that came from, who fucking knows, right? It is super annoying, and I totally get that. But even this upcoming schedule of Baltimore, that's brutal for week 13, right? We're still a week out from the playoffs. But that playoff schedule is Cincinnati, San Fran, Philly, and then the Giants in 17 if you have a 17 championship. I think it's still interesting. You need to start Zeke. The talent's there. The opportunity's still there. And it looks like that hopefully as Andy Dalton gets back and more comfortable within this offense and learning how it works, that Zeke and this offense in total should be able to have an increase in production as the year comes to a close. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button down below, like an open receiver downfield. Also, smash that subscribe button like a power running back up the middle so you never miss a video from me. Last but not least, you can follow me on all social media platforms at FFVulture. Again, the content that is going to be coming out is insane. I'm so excited to show you guys what I have in store. And last but not least, remember, people come and go, but fantasy championships are forever, and I will see you in the next video.